Welcome to this deep dive. Today we're really digging into a fascinating collection of source materials, all documenting a pretty significant period of personal transformation. We have these detailed reflections from a participant who went through an intensive program called Portal to Possibility,
hmm
and right alongside that, their own really insightful notes on how they refined their whole creative and collaborative process.
That's right. And for you, the learner, our mission here is to get past the usual motivational cliches.
Yeah.
We want to extract the truly actionable insights, the architecture of how we actually manage deep growth.
Right.
So this is all about understanding the practical relationship between, disciplined effort, radical self-awareness, and, well, the nonlinear path to getting good at something.
A nonlinear path. I like that.
We're looking for the core wisdom on transformation, on collaboration, and on treating creativity not as some lucky strike, but as a discipline you can rely on.
Okay, let's unpack this. So we're starting with this foundational lesson from the Portal to Possibility experience. The overarching theme seems to be this idea of a transformative mindset.
Yeah.
Specifically, how facing completely new challenges fundamentally increases your capacity for adaptability, for managing radical uncertainty.
It's critical stuff for anyone who needs to pivot quickly in, a complex environment. The source material really emphasizes that true strength isn't about ignoring a challenge.
It's about what? Internal calibration.
Exactly. The program basically pushed the participant into scenarios that were designed to reveal capabilities they just didn't know they had.
And this brings us to an anecdote that it perfectly illustrates the failure of pure brute force. This is where it gets really interesting.
This part is great.
There's this profound lesson highlighted by an extended, almost comical challenge where this individual spent over 21 days working on a problem that should have taken, what, 10 minutes?
10 minutes max.
Yes.
And that failure, that's the most valuable piece of data in this entire source set, because the sources make it crystal clear. The reason for the failure wasn't a lack of ability or a lack of effort.
It was, what, a mindset issue?
It was fixation bias. They were just trying the same sequence of solutions over and over, just harder each time, with more determination.
They were substituting effort for insight.
You've got it. So the lesson they eventually took away was that sheer determination on its own just isn't enough. You can't force your way through a self-imposed obstacle.
So they hit a wall.
A huge wall. They described reaching this point of, mental and physical exhaustion, where the obstacle just felt insurmountable. The breakthrough only came when they internalized that true strength is found in the harmony between mind, body, and soul.
Harmony. So what does that mean practically?
It means they had to stop trying to win the fight and start trying to rebalance their entire system.
That completely challenges the old idea that if you're struggling, you just need to apply more pressure, work harder.
It does.
But what are the practical metrics for this harmony? I mean, how do you know when you've achieved enough balance to actually solve the problem?
The sources suggest the metric is stillness and perspective.
Yeah.
And this leads to another really challenging insight in the reflection. Stress is ultimately a choice we make.
A choice. That's radical, especially for people in high-pressure environments.
It is. It's not saying the external pressure disappears. It's about refusing to let that external pressure control your internal response.
So the pressure is real, but the suffering is optional.
That's a perfect way to put it. The wise person, according to this reflection, learns to smile equally when good things happen and when they face difficulties.
Why, though?
Because they understand both are temporary parts of the journey. If you can approach a deadline crisis and a huge success with the same amount of calm, you maintain the perspective you need to find the elegant solution
Which they finally found on day 22.
after they stop fighting.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? If you've been slamming your head against a problem, trying to force a solution for days, your answer isn't more effort. No, your solution is balance. Step back. Let that harmony return, and the path forward might just become visible.
That pause,
Mm-hmm.
that's the actual prerequisite for effective adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
Lets you stop attacking the wall and start looking for the door.
Okay, so moving from that individual resilience to external effectiveness, the program relied heavily on collaborative exercises, right?
And this is where the participant uncovered several concrete strengths they weren't even aware of.
Such as?
Well, they realized they were far more resourceful in a group setting than when they were isolated. The sources specifically highlight their strength in contributing creative, kind of unorthodox ideas.
Okay.
Their skill in active listening. I mean, truly absorbing what others were saying,
Yeah.
and their capacity to synthesize all these diverse perspectives.
The sources call this drawing on collective intelligence. For our listeners who hear that term a lot, what exactly does that mean here?
Collective intelligence in this context isn't just a buzzword for teamwork.
Right.
It's the mechanism where the group's output actually becomes greater than the sum of its individual parts. So for this person, it meant they could take person A's logical idea, combine it with person B's, creative thinking.
And create something new.
Exactly. They could synthesize an innovative solution that neither person A nor person B had even conceived of on their own. It's deliberate perspective switching.
Which brings us to the emotional side of growth, because that transition from relying on yourself to leveraging the group, that requires vulnerability.
The non-negotiable key takeaway. Absolutely. The supportive environment in the program encouraged sharing uncertainties, doubts, all of it.
But why does vulnerability matter so much in a professional, maybe high-stakes environment? We're often taught to, put on a polished front.
It's totally counterintuitive, I get it.
Huh?
But vulnerability is the entryway to accelerated growth. Being open, it didn't just deepen connections, which helps that collective intelligence engine run smoother.
What else did it do?
Crucially, it helped the participant receive accurate data about their own weaknesses. They realized they needed to be more patient with themselves, and they learned how to constructively seek feedback.
So by sharing where they felt shaky, they didn't look weak.
No, not at all.
They just identified the exact spot where the group could best support them.
Precisely.
Mhm.
They turned a potential weakness into a roadmap for growth. They could identify blind spots and commit to self-improvement because the environment made it safe.
That makes a lot of sense.
And the reflection ends with this profound eagerness for more collaboration, recognizing the sheer power of surrounding yourself with people who both challenge and support you. That combination is essential.
That resilience they gained and the understanding of collaboration, it seems to naturally lead into their insights on the creative process.
It does.
Let's pivot to that second set of source material, the notes on creativity, because, so many people just wait for inspiration to strike, but these insights treat it very differently.
This is a massive reframing. It's about shifting creativity from like a passive waiting game to an active engineering discipline.
The most transformative lesson here was about brainstorming. It was about allowing this massive, uninhibited space for free brainstorming before you even try to narrow down ideas.
Right, suspending judgment early on.
Yeah.
That creates room for unexpected, sometimes really strange connections and breakthroughs. It's the volume leads to value principle.
Volume leads to value.
Yeah, the sources state very clearly that the quality of your final ideas is directly connected to the quantity and diversity you generate in that open phase. If you generate 10 ideas, your best one might be a 7 out of 10.
But if you generate 100,
Your best idea might be a 10 out of 10.
but holding back judgment is hard. We're all trained to filter things immediately. How do you instill that kind of discipline?
Well, what's fascinating here is the emphasis on treating creativity itself as a discipline and a habit,
Yeah.
just like that internal balance we talked about earlier.
So you institutionalize the process.
You got it. It means setting aside dedicated time, showing up consistently, regardless of your mood or motivation.
You build a container for inspiration instead of just waiting for it to strike randomly.
Exactly. And that disciplined approach, showing up every day, that helps you overcome mental blocks, sustain momentum, and it breaks down these huge, overwhelming creative tasks into manageable steps.
It's the difference between relying on a rare burst of genius and having a professional, reliable, creative system.
The reliable system, that's the key.
And just like in the resilience program, collaboration shows up, again, as a critical factor.
Mhm.
But here, its function shifts a little bit, right?
It does. While in the program, collaboration was more about self-awareness and synthesizing ideas, in the creative phase, collaboration is primarily a refinement tool.
A refinement tool.
Yeah. The best ideas often emerge through genuine engagement with constructive feedback. Sharing your work lets you see possibilities and flaws that you just miss when you're working alone. Isolation hinders that vital refining process.
And the reframing here is key. Feedback is not criticism.
It's a gift.
It's explicitly viewed as a gift that accelerates your growth and strengthens the final product.
And if you truly internalize that it's a gift, you start to actively seek out dissenting or critical viewpoints. You don't get defensive.
Right, you want them.
You want them because they enrich your work with insights you could never have generated on your own, in your own little echo chamber.
Yeah.
And that requires the same vulnerability we talked about before.
We often expect progress, whether it's personal or professional, to look like a straight line, just steadily climbing up. But the culmination of all this source material confirms that the path to mastery, and especially the creative path, is, well, it's anything but predictable.
The sources are really explicit here. They describe creativity as nonlinear. It includes necessary moments of uncertainty, intense revision, hitting dead ends,
And frustration.
and deep frustration. These challenges aren't side effects. They're core components of authentic creative work.
And the common mistake, which kind of mirrors that 21-day failure, is to assume that those setbacks mean we're doing something wrong.
That is the trap. The essential lesson is that these challenges shouldn't be seen as signs of failure, but as essential data. They tell you what doesn't work, which helps you refine your focus for what will.
So that acceptance leads to patience.
Patience and trusting the structural integrity of the process that you built.
And how does that mindset change the final outcome?
The participant realized that some of their most significant insights, the biggest leaps in quality, they came directly from moments where they were forced to step back, scrap an entire approach, and start over.
The nonlinear path ensures you test the full bounds of the problem.
Not just the easiest route.
So if we put these two source sets together, personal growth and creative discipline, what does the effective, integrated, holistic process look like for you, the high-performance learner?
I think the process is most effective when it intentionally balances structure with spontaneity. It demands an openness to unconventional ideas, that vulnerability we mentioned, regular discipline practice, showing up every day, guaranteed, and genuine collaboration to test and refine those ideas.
And resilience.
And resilience in the face of all those nonlinear challenges. You have to balance your individual vision with the collective wisdom and balance your determination with flexibility.
So it sounds like continuous calibration and a shift in perspective on what we consider waste.
Yes.
Time spent on a dead end or a 21-day fixation isn't actually wasted if it teaches you the terrain and reinforces the need for balance.
Precisely. That holistic approach is what turns a potential possibility into a reliable, repeatable reality. The goal isn't perfection or finding the shortest route.
The goal is continuous, robust evolution.
That's it.
We've covered a lot of ground today, from learning that trying to force a 10-minute solution for 21 days is not the answer,
Definitely not.
to recognizing that creative quality really depends on brainstorming quantity and successfully viewing feedback as a gift, not as a critique.
And if we connect all this back to the bigger picture for you, the core message is that meaningful growth demands a systematic, holistic approach. It's about building a robust system that values both your internal reflection and that external support you get from disciplined practice and deep collaboration.
So this raises an important question for you to think about. If your greatest growth consistently comes from accepting a setback, what dead end or moment of deep frustration in your current project might actually be the hidden seed of your next major breakthrough? Don't look for the shortest route. Start embracing that essential nonlinear path.